Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Speed Memorial Church. This morning before service, we have a very special presentation to make. In 1991, I think Rick's going to turn the volume up a little bit. Not that you're going to miss anything that I say, but let's try that. Okay. In 1991, the Gunther family began awarding a scholarship annually to students of family members of Speed Memorial Church. This scholarship has continued each year during that time. Today, we are going to award some more scholarships, and we're honored that Harry and his wife Linda have traveled the long route from Mount Pleasant, Michigan to Sellersburg this morning to make these presentations. The Gunther family and the Baylor family have long, deep family roots within our church. The Gunther family had a home over here in Speed on Michigan Avenue, and I believe the Baylor home was at 609 Lincoln over here at Speed, a large family, large home on Lincoln. So Harry, if you and Linda would join me up here, and I would ask for Lila, Luke, and David to also join us here on stage this morning. We have three recipient winners, or scholarship recipients this year. Lila Enders, parents is Justin and Kara, and she is a granddaughter of Rick and Kay Rowland. Lila graduated from New Albany High School, is a member of the National Honor Society. She will be attending Indiana University, Kelley School of Business, majoring in finance. Lila also lettered in cross country and track for 4 years and served as co-captain. Congratulations, Lila. Luke Rowland, his parents is Jason and Stacy Rowland, also the grandson of Rick and Kay Rowland. Luke graduated from Edgewood High School in Etlettsville, Indiana, which is right outside of Bloomington. Currently, Luke is a senior at Midway University, majoring in psychology. He plans to attend graduate school and major in occupational therapy. Luke also is a runner, a member of the cross country and track team at Midway University. And our final recipient this morning is David Sopis. David's parents are Ed and Clara Sopis. David is a sophomore at Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois. He is studying computer science and Japanese. He made the dean's list as a freshman with a 4.0 GPA. He enjoys photography, and as you'll hear later this morning, he's a very good piano player. Congratulations to Luke and David as well. Harry, would you like to say a few words?
I would, please. It's always good to be back home. My wife and I are always pleased to be down in Sellersburg. In fact, I went by my grandmother Baylor's home and my mother and father's home before we came to church. As Rick had alluded to, my father was the superintendent of schools. And after my mother passed,
Thank you, Harry and Linda, and have a safe trip back to Mount Pleasant.
Well, that was cool. Congratulations again to everybody's name I forgot except David because he's my kid. Um, but yeah, it's just cool to see. It's cool to see generosity in action, and so I totally appreciate it. Not just because I'm David's dad, but just the fact that hey, what's up, you guys? Sorry, I saw Rob and Don. They just got married last week. Good for you. And so let's just take a moment and just to pray silently and to prepare our minds and our hearts to learn about Jesus. Okay. We're going to move the Our Father. We normally say it right now, but we're going to move that to the benediction. I just didn't have the heart to tell Sheila to move it on Friday, and so I just left it where it was. But we'll say the Lord's Prayer as the benediction. So right now our first song is number 40. This is My Father's World. And you can stand.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers in our congregation. If you're a guest in the sanctuary today, a special welcome to you, and we hope you will come back soon to join us again on another Sunday morning. I would also like to welcome all those viewing online, and we would invite you also to join us here in the sanctuary any Sunday that you can. Also want to welcome home our newlyweds, Rob and Don Travis. Welcome back. Want to thank Janet Harmon for filling in for music this morning. We really appreciate that, Janet. Offering and donations can be left at the entrances to the sanctuary, and you can also donate using the QR code in the bulletin, on Facebook, or by text messages. And we, as always, we thank you for your support and donations. Please review the church activity calendar in the bulletin and on Facebook and on our website. Announcements are also in the bulletin and on Facebook. Please keep those on our prayer list in your prayers today and this week. Let's see. Yes, she's sliding down in her seat. Today is Andrea Van Meter's birthday, and we could not forget to celebrate her 40th birthday once again. Happy birthday, Andrea. And it's also Linda Adams' birthday on June 23rd. She watches a lot online. So, Janet, fire up the band. Our scripture of the week this week is Proverbs 23rd chapter, verses 15 and 24. If you want to turn in your pew Bibles and join me. My son, if your heart is wise, then my heart will be glad. My inmost being will rejoice when your lips speak what is right. Let me find the next 24. The father of a righteous man has great joy. He who has a wise son delights in him. Our hymn is It Is Well With My Soul, number 453.
David. You guys got to quit telling, no, you come on up. This is the interlude where we don't just awkwardly sit silently while you walk up. I'd like to introduce David. He's a cool guy. One of the accomplishments they left off at college is that he is in a group that plays the Settlers of Catan, and he was able to win the Sword of Gryffindor as the winner of the last match. So. In case you were wondering, I taught him how to do that. Appropriate laughter. Good. It's Father's Day, and I treat Father's Day kind of like I treat Mother's Day. And if you remember on Mother's Day, the person who actually started Mother's Day spent every penny she had trying to kill it. And in fact, went to a sanitarium because she couldn't kill it. When she offered her mother up and the love of her mother, when she offered it up to what we call culture, she saw immediately that it was going to die and no one would care about their moms. They would care about Mother's Day more than they would care about their moms. And so Father's Day is actually it was started by the retail industry. In fact, it was a battle between the retail industry, clothing, and tobacco. Tobacco wanted it at the end of June. They both wanted it in June, both industries, because it followed Mother's Day. But the retailers wanted it at the very beginning of June. Who knows why. But somehow they got in a room and they settled it out. And so that's why we have Mother's Day right in the middle of June, because the tobacco industry and the men's clothing industry decided that was the best time for them to get together, because what they developed Father's Day for was to take your money and to get rich. There's no hiding that. And there's no debate about that. The intention of us honoring our fathers is that you will spend money to make people get more money who are doing that. And I'm not mad. I don't care. In fact, this is my object for. You're supposed to have an object for your sermons, I think. They might have taught that at some point in seminary, but I forget. There we go. I was actually going to wear that and go, but then I thought, it just forces the whole sermon in a different direction, because then you get lost with me wearing that. It's like, well, how could he wear a Mickey Mouse shirt when he's preaching the gospel? It's like, I didn't even want to go there. So I figured that's a little bit off to the side, so I can preach in my cool golf shirt and have that there. And the reason I love Disneyland, no doubt about that. Been going since I was 6 years old, and I'm talking the real Disneyland in California, not the knockoffs and all the other places in the world. Pure, Mr. Disney has an apartment there, that Disneyland. And I've been going there forever. I try to go every year. In fact, I thought a great Father's Day gift, hint, family, would be throw some tickets my way, because I can't afford it on a pastor's salary, please. They take every dime you got. At least they provide a product to me when they're trying to take my money that I really like. Father's Day, they're just trying to take your money. And again, I'm not mad, because I go to Disneyland and I know I'm in Disneyland. I have the best time that I possibly can. I don't expect anything like, I got to go on this ride, I got to eat this food. I'm just there to have fun. Some rides are closed, some rides are open. Some food's not prepared properly, some food is prepared. I don't care. I am in Disneyland, and I'm going to live the Disneyland experience as much as possible. When I was a kid, I went there. When I was in college, I was at Cal State Disneyland, which is Cal State Fullerton, where you could get Disneyland passes for like $15. So, of course, I'm there all the time. We had kids when it was $99 annual pass. Kids are free. So you throw down $200, you can go 4 times a week and stay for 45 minutes and walk around. You don't have to buy any overpriced food. You just have fun. So I hate to admit it, I've probably been there 200-300 times at least, and know every step of that place, because it's fun. And I know where I am. I don't confuse the two. And here's the point, and parenthetically speaking right now, you have to figure this sermon out for yourself. I'm not going to tell you. But Father's Day is kind of like Disneyland. It's not real, like Mother's Day. They tell you exactly why they invented Father's Day. It wasn't because they love fathers. It wasn't to honor men. It wasn't to do whatever they wanted to do. It was to make money off of you. That is exactly why it was made. They saw how wonderful Mother's Day was. They didn't see the lady crying and trying to kill it who invented it. They saw how much money was made. And of course you're going to go, let's have Father's Day. Let's have Father's Day. We'll make a boatload of money. Men love tobacco, and we'll sell them on ties. We'll say that if you hang a thread around your neck, it looks a lot better than if you don't have it there. And men bought it, of course, because that seems to be the tendency of humanity is to be led and to forget. When I was at Disneyland, I knew I was at Disneyland. And I had fun. And with Father's Day, I know exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get money from me, and I get that. But it's at the same time, I know that I'm in a Disneyland kind of state because there's no warrant to have a Father's Day other than making money. And so I'm going to have as much fun as I can with my dad. I wish today I could take my dad out to eat and tell him that I love him. And tell him, you know what, now that I'm nearing your age, when you passed away, I get it a lot deeper now than what I did when I was stupid. I get what it's like. I wish I could tell my mom the same thing. But it has nothing to do with the day. It has nothing to do with some entity who wants to make money telling me what day to worship my father. It has everything to do with the fact that I love my father. I so appreciate what he gave up. And he gave up a lot so that I could go to school, so I could live, so I could do things. He was a servant at the highest level. I think what happens to humanity, I think there's a story in Luke 2 that talks about that might help us, help me, and so I'm not going to pretend that it's going to help you, but just so that you can have fun and enjoy and let other people enjoy the Disneyland that we kind of live in. It says every year, and we know the story, Jesus' parents in Luke 2 went to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. When Jesus was 12, so when he was 13, okay? Because in the Jewish way, the way they counted, when you were 3 months old, you were 1 year old in the Jewish way they counted. As soon as you were born day one, you were 1 year old. And I don't know why that is, but that's the way it was. So when it's 12, he was 13, which means bar mitzvah, which means you're now an adult. So when Jesus was an adult, they attended the festival as usual. After the celebration was over, they started home to Nazareth, but Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't miss him at first because they assumed he was among the other travelers. But when he didn't show up that night, they started looking for him among the relatives and friends. When they couldn't find him, they went back to Jerusalem to search for him there. 3 days later, they finally discovered him in the temple, sitting among the religious leaders, listening to them and asking questions. All who heard him were amazed at his understanding and answers. His parents didn't know what to think. "Son," his mother said to him, "why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been frantic, searching for you everywhere." "Well, why did you need to search?" he asked. "Didn't you know that I must be in my father's house?" But they didn't understand what he meant. Soon we all heard that story before, and I always like to play with teenager, gonna do what a teenager gonna do. 13 years old. But I don't think Jesus was a typical teenager, and I think people 13 meant something different when you became an adult. What I really find fascinating is that they thought Jesus was with them as they wandered away from him. They thought that they assumed that what they did, Jesus would be part of. Father's Day, Disneyland. I think we assume that everything we think about and every little creative thing that we can come up with, Jesus is on board. Jesus, whatever I think of, Jesus is going to have my back. Whatever we do, and I'm not even going into the depth of this concept in terms of what we religiously do all the time. But the reality is, Mary and Joseph thought Jesus was with them, assumed Jesus was with them as they walked away from where he was. And then they were frantic. "Jesus, why did you do this to us?" And he was kind. He was an adult. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. What I feel sorry for is that while Mary and Joseph were kind of in Disneyland walking away from Jesus, he was baffling minds and baffling rabbis and Pharisees with his wisdom. It was like when Martha and Mary were cooking dinner and Mary decided to sit at Jesus' feet and actually listen to what he said. And who got mad? Martha. Like, tell my sister to get in here. Now, I think part of the depth of that story is the fact that we tend to take what we assume is correct and run with it, not even waiting for Jesus. Not even waiting for him. Could be, I assume he's here. He's right here, right? Jesus? And you wonder. There's special things. It's not a salvific thing like, oh, you're going to burn in hell now. It's a thing about your relationship with Jesus. It's about the reality that sometimes we make decisions that go ahead of Jesus, and we assume he's following us, and he isn't. And I think Father's Day is one of those situations, a very low level in terms of impact and in terms of the quality of life issue, but at the same time, it's a nice gateway to get into examining what we do think Jesus is in, where he may not be there. It's just in Matthew 23, and this is verse 1, Jesus said to the crowds and his disciples, he said, "The teachers of religious law and the Pharisees are the official interpreters of the law of Moses. So practice and obey whatever they tell you, but don't follow their example. For they don't practice what they teach." And there's a little gap here. I kind of shrank it down to fit the format of the text. He said they love to receive respectful greetings as they walk in the marketplace and to be called rabbi. And then he said to the people, "Don't let anyone call you rabbi, for you only have one teacher, and all of you are equal as brothers and sisters. So every time we approach somebody, we're approaching them as a brother or a sister. Even if you are a teacher, I search out teachers because, trust, my level of knowledge is way low bar compared to everybody else. But if I want to know something, like if I want to learn how to play a guitar, I'm going to find somebody who plays guitar. I'm going to ask him, will you teach me? Does that make him more valuable than me in terms of my identity? Well, no. It makes him more valuable in terms of the knowledge that I'm after. I approach him as a brother. I want to learn what you've learned. I approach him as a sister if it's a girl. And that's the respect of acknowledging somebody's gifts. That's the respect of that. But Jesus says, don't let yourself be called a rabbi. Because you know what? You only have one teacher. And the temptation is to begin to think that you're something more valuable than you're not. Your gifts are just your gifts. Guy next to you with different gifts, or with no gifts, or with many, many mistakes on his resume, just as valuable as you are. Just as valuable as you are. Different skin color, different political ideology, different denomination, whatever. They're human. They're not as perfect as you. But you know what? They still deserve our mercy. They still deserve our forgiveness. They still deserve our love. That's a cool father to me. I would have Mercy Day, or Forgiveness Day, or Give Money to My College Student Day. But, you know, it says something really interesting after that. He says, don't let anyone call you rabbi, for you have, and you're all equal, and don't address anyone here on earth as father. Don't address anyone here on earth as father. Because you only have one Father in heaven. And again, it's a leveling. All right? Nobody cares what words you use. Like, hey, Father. Like, if David said that, I'd freak out. But it's, again, a temptation to think that you're not a brother or a sister, that your role as a parent is somehow increases your identity and your value as a person, which it doesn't. How many disclaimers before Mother's Day do you have to make? Where you say, I know that not everybody's mom was perfect. I know some ladies didn't have kids. You make that disclaimer because what you're celebrating is false. There is no Mother's Day. All right, the lady who invented it went to her grave penniless and insane because she couldn't kill it once she handed it over to the beast. And then the beast said, maybe I can make a Father's Day. How many texts did you get on your phone like the last couple of days? Or emails? Or only 4 days left, you know? Come on down, we're having our Father's Day sale. Because the only way you can honor your father is to buy something and give it to him. And again, when I know I'm in Disneyland, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have fun. But I know I'm in Disneyland. I'm going to take my father out. I'm going to buy my father the jacket he wants. I'm going to do that. But I know there is no value in it outside of the context of being in Disneyland. Does that make sense? Probably not. It says, don't let anyone call you father. Why? Because you only have one Father. Don't you understand? When you're in Jesus' kingdom, you're not in Disneyland anymore. It's a real kingdom. It's not one where you get to make up the rules, and you get to make up the holidays, and you get to make up what you wear, and you get to make up how you talk, and you get to make up what version of the Bible to read, and you get to make up what songs to sing, and blah, 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 blah. It's a real kingdom with life and death implications, where the poor and the drunkards and the prostitutes seem to get it, but the religious folks just don't seem to get it. And that's sad. It says, and don't let anyone call you teacher, which is funny because rabbi might mean master. There's a little language thing. But anyway, it says, don't let anyone call you teacher, for you have only one teacher, Jesus. I'm here to tell you the truth. The way, the truth, and the life. How I live, the values I hold are exactly the same as the Father that you claim to worship. The washing of the feet, raising people from the dead, the homeless living style, These are all values that I hold. Asking people to give everything, all the money you have, and then come follow me. All those weird little things he said. Those are the values of the Father. It's not Disneyland. That's real. There are holidays, 7 of them, that Jesus worshiped, the feasts of Israel. Those are actual holidays aligned with the stars, built into nature, built into the creation. Those are real holidays, not ones that we kind of make up. But I love going to Disneyland. Don't get me wrong. No one loves Christmas more than me. I'll eat fudge and sing Silent Night all night. Don't care. Apple cider, cookies, presents, trees, just absolutely wonderful lights on houses. Don't interrupt me, Train. I think Disneyland's great. I mean Christmas. Love it all. I'll even pretend that Jesus was born on December 25th. I don't care. I love Christmas Eve, the late service where you sing Silent Night and hold the candles up in the air. I just think it's spectacular. One of the best rides I've been on. It's beautiful. It's hard to find in here, but it is a beautiful thing. And it says, the prodigal son. Have you ever thought about the prodigal son? I didn't write it all down. Again, I edited this to fit the page. The prodigal son's a great story, right? It's really called the good father. Okay, the prodigal son is just a way of interpreters to deflect what this story is really about. Okay, you have 2 sons. One represents the nations, one represents the Jews. We all know that. The nations just think somehow that they inherited their father's wealth, and they think it's theirs, and so they squander it all on themselves. Despite the poor people, despite the inequality of the world, despite all that, I'm going to just spend it on myself because it's mine. My dad gave it, Not even my dad gave it to me. He demanded the money. And then he took off and he lost it all and he squandered it on high living, wound up living in mud. He went to Disneyland. Who hasn't gone to Disneyland and not walked out with empty pockets? What did I do? He thought he was pursuing God. He thought he was pursuing himself. He thought that money was owed to him. Anyway, he's the one who came back. He was sitting with pigs and mud. And he said, oh man, even the servants in my father's house live better than this. I'm going to go back. And he develops this whole thing, which he never really says. And he goes back and the father sees him far off. And the father runs to him, hugs him with all the manure and sweat and who knows how many months of junk all over him. He didn't even care. Just ran, hug. Didn't matter. That was my son. That was my son. And then there was another son the father had who was the good son, the Jews. And he was out in the fields working because that's what you did, Make hay while the sun shines. And the father, he wouldn't come in. Father sent a servant out and said, we're having a party. Your son, your younger brother, we thought he's dead, is alive. He's back. And the older son's like, no. No. His behavior was way too wretched. He deserved to die. The way he acted, the things he said, the things he did, what a horrible, horrible human he is. He doesn't deserve your love. What did the father do? Father ran out to him. Ran out to him and said, what's up? Your brother, our family. And the son complained about, the son wanted accolades is really what the older son, you never had a party for me. You never had a party for me, and I worked my butt off all these years. And he was like, everything I have is yours. Why do I got to kill a goat for you? Why do I got to do that? What's the difference? Your value rests on whether I kill a goat for you? You don't know I love you? You don't know that everything I have is for you? Because I celebrate somebody else, that somehow declines or decimates what I think about you? I love him more? Or am I just celebrating that he's alive? Your value is exactly the same. I love you to death, which is what Jesus did. The story is about a father who is willing to run after his kids. That's a celebration to me. No money involved. Well, there was for the younger kid. That's not Disneyland. When you have to forgive somebody. 2, your kids, where neither one of your kids understands you. The prodigal son kind of did. He didn't understand the love, but he knew that if he came back, he'd probably show him mercy and let him work as a servant. Did not understand his love. Didn't understand how much that he loved them. And I think sometimes we don't understand how much God loves us. Because we just keep wanting to go along with anything they throw at us as if it's valuable. It's okay to play in Disneyland if you know you're in Disneyland. When you start confusing Disneyland with the real world, when you start confusing your culture with Jesus' kingdom, you have entered into a really dangerous position, because you begin to evaluate people and yourself based on your culture. There are many, many cultures in the world. None of them follow Jesus. None of them follow Jesus. That's hard to hear, Ed, because I live in a Christian culture. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You live in Disneyland. It's a culture. You have music. You have things you say. You have values. You have a way to act. You have all sorts of things that make up cultural things. That's just how it is. I didn't make it up when Jesus said, "You've been separated, you are changed, you are now in a new kingdom." When Paul said that everything old is gone behind you, everything is new. Israel couldn't take it. They couldn't believe that their culture was dying, that their temple would be destroyed, that this renegade dude was on the way and he was just tearing them apart, and he could raise people from the dead and they couldn't. And Jesus' kingdom is different than all of us. Jesus' kingdom is not Disneyland. It's a kingdom of sacrifice. It's a kingdom of denial. It's a kingdom of servanthood. Where the richest and the best athletes aren't posted on TV 24/7. The people who get on TV in Jesus' kingdom are the people who are washing feet. And who wants to watch that on high def? Not me. It says in Luke 15, there's another little thing. Did I finish that? Oh, no, I didn't. There's verse 11. The greatest among you must be a servant. No, Jesus, take that back. I want to be great. I want to have a spotlight on me. I want to have money. I want to go to Disneyland. I don't want to be a servant. Servants don't get any accolades. That's not Disneyland. Not our kingdom. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Nobody thinks that being a servant is actually the most powerful position on our culture. No, definitely not. But in Jesus' culture, in Jesus' kingdom, the servant is actually the most powerful person. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I'm not a good servant, as you can tell. But it's cool to think that people who are willing to wash others' feet, people who are willing to forgo whatever the world is telling them to do, who understand the values of the identity in Jesus that they have. It says in Luke 15, tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. Those low-life scum. This made the Pharisees and the teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. What kind of a rebel is Jesus that he actually sits with tax collectors and notorious sinners? How far off of base is he? He probably didn't even celebrate Father's Day. No wonder the religious teachers complained. No wonder they called him a drunkard. No wonder they called him a glutton. So Jesus told him this story. He said, if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together all his friends and neighbors, saying, rejoice with me because I have found my lost sheep. In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over the 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. I love how he panders to the people that are complaining by calling them righteous. When the real thing is that he's telling them that he's there for them. I'm showing you how to live with these notorious sinners. I'm showing you how to live life by accepting them and even eating with these people that you won't even help. Because as he said, he revealed that God right here will celebrate one sinner, but they won't even talk to them. The God that they follow, the God that they claim as their own, they won't even talk to the very people God loves. What do you think separates them? I wonder why that is. I wonder if there's a part of me that's like that. I wonder if there's a part of me, because I know God, there's no boundaries. He's going after it. And that's the one part about God. So what makes him good is that he seeks you. And usually what gets in the way of him seeking you is you starting to seek him and then throwing all your junk and imagination and all your holidays and all of your interpretations and everything on top of your mind so that you can't even see Jesus anymore. And still he pursues. He goes down that trail looking for you. Looking for you. And all he asks is that you let him he wants to put you on his shoulders, which would be hard with me, and flip you on your shoulders like a little cat and bring you back home and celebrate. That's what he wants from each of you. He doesn't care about that. Yeah, play in Disney. He told the Israelites when they were captured and put in Babylon, he said, shoot, live your life. Have families. Have gardens. Pray for Babylon's money. Pray for them to succeed. Because if they succeed, if they're doing well, then you're going to do well. That's the kind of culture we live in. He has us praying for the Babylonian culture, which in our today's modern, pray for the United States. Pray for them. Pray that they do well. Pray that it helps. Pray that there are no more wars by psychotic people. Pray for them to succeed. Because that'll help you. And if that helps you, then you'll understand that I'm seeking after you. And all I'm asking is for you to follow what I'm teaching. To follow me. To ask me to guide you. To be a servant. That's a real kingdom. That's a real kingdom. And Jesus asks every single one of us, every single day, despite how wonderful we think we are and how knowledgeable we think we are about Jesus, he asks you today, right now, to follow him. Well, why should I have to follow him? I'm a pastor. Pastors are the fools. They believe it. They have to get up and say stuff like, Father's Day, Schmother's Day. He's asking you right now, right this second, if he can break through the ego. You don't know as much as you think. I don't know as much as I think. We don't have a clue. But Jesus has given us enough space and enough light that we understand that we need to follow him because he is the way, the truth, and the life. Everything else, burn. That's what it's all about. And our trust is foundational understanding that He is a good Father. He is a good Father. That's what all of this is about.